Hello and welcome to this podcast from the Tees Women Poets. I'm Sarah, an anxious feminist auntie.
And hello, I'm Dianne, kick-ass matriarch. And over the summer of 2023, we got busy asking the women and girls of Hartlepool about what's it like to be or raise a girl here.
We did this because in 2020, Plan UK International reported on the state of girls' rights in the UK, basically asking, what is it like for girls today? And the North East came out lacking, based on statistical analysis of life expectancy, reproductive health and educational outcomes.
So we, Dianne Casey, a kick-ass matriarch,
and me, Sarah Crutwell, an anxious feminist auntie, got to chatting to find out what the lasses of Hartlepool thought about their hometown, the people in it, and the problems they face.
For reference, if you're not from round these parts, Hartlepool is located in the northeast. It's a port town.
Hartlepool is a great place to take photos.
Hartlepool is run down.
Hartlepool is scary.
Hartlepool is friendly.
I love Hartlepool. There's so much good here as well. I think it has a bad rep really, but there's a lot here. It's got some of the loveliest and friendliest people that I've ever come across, and I've lived in a lot of different places around the UK.
Hartlepool has a nice community.
Hartlepool has amazing sea air. Hartlepool has some nice walks.
Isn't it? I was thinking of the gorgeous Deans that we have, the lovely coastlines. We're on the edge of you can step out of Hartlepool, you would step into Hartlepool, we've got gorgeous parks and lovely green spaces.
The natural landscape's really interesting, but then obviously you've got the dredging going on, so you've got these people from outside of the area and like the people who own things who are destroying the natural landscape, like you've got them building all over green belts, and then the water quality. But then when you do look at it from a distance, there is the Deans, but then you do have people going into like nice spaces like that and do also their own communities and littering. But then you've got the opposite where you've got all the litter pickers as well in Hartlepool now, and there's a massive group of people but it's such a cycle, isn't it, where they're picking it up, but then the rubbish is there the next day again from whoever's doing it.
Hartlepool is neglected.
Hartlepool is judgmental.
Hartlepool is generous. Hartlepool is small-minded.
It's a contradictory place in my mind, because on one side of it, it's really, friendly, generous, welcoming place. I think I always say must be one of the most generous places in the country in terms of the amount of money it must donate to charities, and the way that when individuals are in need, like the whole community will rally round. But on the other side of that, it's really quite a small-minded place with lots of people with small-minded mentalities.
Hartlepool needs more green space.
Hartlepool is musical.
Hartlepool is pretty.
Hartlepool is picturesque.
Hartlepool is forgotten.
Hartlepool is questionable.
Hartlepool is welcoming.
Hartlepool is grey.
The North East being a place where people historically don't want to live. Everything from the weather to employment, and I think if you keep being told all of these things, you start to believe it, and it kind of sinks into how you feel about yourself. And I think you have to fight back hard against that.
Hartlepool is diverse.
Hartlepool is community.
Hartlepool is boring.
Hartlepool is beautiful.
Hartlepool is dim.
Because if it's someone from the north who says it's Scrum Up North, I'm like, yeah. But if it's someone from the south who says it's Scrum North, I'm like, what the hell do you mean?
I just jump on the defensive, I think, straight away when I hear stuff like that, because I'm proud of being northern, to be honest. I take a lot of pride in it, actually, and so I don't like when people slagging it off. And I totally agree with what you were saying.
I see that.
But I also see like the potential that we have here. So So yeah.
Do you think I think it's an age thing as well, though, don't you? Do you think you'd be different if you were a lot younger?
Oh yeah.
Because
I
would.
so, but now I can't let myself see all the negatives on it because of, like, you know, I have a daughter who I'm raising in this town, and I have all of you guys here, and I've got to think that, like, I can't just see it as somewhere negative and like, oh, if you live here and grow up here, you're never going to succeed. I can't let myself think like that.
Got a lot going for Hartlepool, I think, compared to when I was a kid.
So the people from, like, I've been working over the tall ships, and like I've had a couple of people in saying, I used to live here when I was young, it's changed so much, and they've just can't believe the change in Hartlepool in the last 40 years or 20 years. I think we have got a lot to offer in Hartlepool.
So our next question was, what is a girl? For the report, Plan UK defined a girl as anyone identifying as female up to the age of 18 and a young woman up to the age of 25. These are the definitions that we'll be using for this podcast. They also state that the concept of gender refers to norms, expectations and beliefs about roles, relations and values attributed to girls and boys and women and men. These norms are socially constructed and they change over time. They are learned from families and friends, in school and in communities, and from the media, government and religious organisations.
Let's ask the lasses, what's it like for a girl growing up in Hartlepool?
Today we have gathered here in Hartlepool Mosque, Nasir Mosque, and we have been discussing about the problems we can face here, raising up our daughters here. And we have discussed various points, most of them were positives. But the point I want to raise is that being a woman or being a girl here is a bit difficult in the sense that because there are less spaces for girls and ladies here where they can relax, they can socialize, they can enjoy and improve their mental health, then we can ensure that a better personality is raised. The girl we are raising, they will grow up as a better girl who will have a better mental health, a better confidence to move around in the society.
In terms of raising girls, here I've not found any particular barriers. There's lots of things they can access. There's free art clubs, there's libraries and the hubs, and I think sometimes it's just about getting out there and seeing what's available. But there's loads of things for girls to do in Hartlepool.
Hartlepool has lots of clubs, like Mill House has loads of things. We've got loads of different brownie groups, and there's loads of different activities that you can do over the summer, and loads of other dances, and we've got a gymnastics stadium and things like that.
So I'm very new into raising a girl here in Hartlepool. She's almost 10 months old and she's been with us since she was 3 months old. I think it's not necessarily dissimilar to how I would feel about raising her anywhere else. I think just being a girl in this world, being a human in this world is hard. Being a girl in this world is hard too. I think it just there always feels like there's a pressure to conform and to be a certain way, and I think we're fighting back against that, but I think we've got a long way to go. We have many discussions in my house about how the world isn't equal and it's not fair, and yeah, we all come at it with different kind of experiences and different things that make the world challenging for us, whether it's our gender or the colour of our skin or a whole host of different things that make us different from each other. And I think it's really easy to focus on those differences and to have issues with lots of other people, where actually we should be coming together and looking at all the ways that we're similar and all the things that we're struggling with.
Girls are underestimated, and girls can prove that girls can do the things that they want to be and do. I could be a doctor, I could be a paramedic, I could be a gymnast, I could be a swimmer, I could be a dancer, I could be a ballet dancer, I could be a tap dancer, I could be a jazz dancer, and many more things.
Yes, you can, baby girl. Now, if that hasn't made you feel great, I don't know what would.
Why and when do we lose that energy and self-belief?
It was a school system that did it for me. Thatcher's Britain, 70s and 80s, YTS's, no job opportunities, no hope. It just sapped any aspiration from me.
I think for me it was chronic childhood illness and undiagnosed neurodivergency. I missed so much school, and even when I was there, I was eager to learn, but I couldn't get my head around any of the ways that they were teaching it.
Yeah, I hear you with that. Sometimes education just isn't taught in the way that is for everybody. So, what about the aspirations, education and work opportunities for our Hartlepool women and girls?
Education, mixed opinion as well, I guess. Personally, I've always had an okay time in education in Hartlepool. But then also I've seen like the opposite, where my sister, she didn't have a good time, did she?
Yes, she did.
Yeah, I don't think she was treated as well as she could have been, just for being slightly alternative. And also people learn differently, and I think sometimes in Hartlepool that's a bit restricted. Different ways, like being a bit more abstract thinking maybe.
Ever feel like being a girl held you back within school or?
Not in school, but when I left school, I've always been manual. So like my dad used to have gardens. I'd help my dad with the gardens. I like to paint, decorate, plumbing. So when I left school, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a plumber. I got laughed at. I remember going in the Yellow Pages, ringing every one of them, asking if I can, join them. No, I just got laughed at.
And then you ended up being a cook, didn't you? Went to college, trained to be a chef.
Yeah, I went in the army for a bit. I hated that.
Did you?
That is definitely not for women back then.
Right.
It was awful. And then I came out and I'd done my catering. And then I found schools, didn't I? So then I've worked in schools.
I mean, we are living a little bit with the legacy of the 1980s and the high unemployment. And that's worked its way through the generations a little bit, where you've had, the people who've never worked and think there's nothing wrong with that. Believe me, I'm not going down that route of making kind of blanketing and saying that people don't want to work. Not at all, but
they just don't know different.
It becomes a bit generational. So if you grow up in a house where your mum hasn't worked, but your nana also hasn't worked, and those are the main figures in your life as women, what have you got to aspire to? Who are you looking up to as women who work? How are you seeing that working might give you advantages that not working doesn't? If you see all the main women in your life who don't work, but they have homes, they have pets, they have dogs, they have, not that dogs is a life status, but you know what I mean, they have everything they seem to want and they're content, then what is there to aspire to outside of that? Whereas if you know people who work and then go on to do other things and are excited about that, then that gives you motivation to aspire to something different.
Yeah.
You can't want what you don't know, almost.
It is a lack of aspiration.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Well, if you don't mix in the sort of circles that you do, I mean, it's like the whole public school system, isn't it? You mix with people that are with you for the rest of your life, in a way. And if you go through the public school system, then there's always people there that will prop you up or you can turn to. And, quite often these people are highly influential. Whereas, you grow up in a town like Hartlepool and you do the same thing and, maybe they're not the greatest people that you should be hanging around with, really.
One of our participants told us about a particularly exciting opportunity she had as a young person in Hartlepool.
However, worth noting, opportunity and resources are limited. Cost of living's affecting everything. Across England in particular, the average spend on youth service per local authority has declined by 69%.
A year of maritime discovery before we did it. So it was a year of confidence building, going to a different thing every week, where we learned different skills and went to different companies and everything. So from me being 20 to me being 21, I was a completely different person because they'd pumped so much funding and money and everything else into this thing. We're going to build your confidence, so by the time you get on this ship, you're going to feel like you can take on the world. And it was it was incredible. Like, it was the best opportunity. But now there's so many ships getting sold off, and like whole confidence building, team building, adventure. Like, it is totally a life-changing experience. And nowadays, like, fitness for kids and young people to be able to do something like that, so many of the ships are getting sold off because there's no money. So there's no money being put into like sailing, like youth sailing, the money that was there. Like, when we did the tall ships race in 93, there was 110 ships. This year there was 30. And it was like, this is so sad, because so many young people are missing out on incredible opportunities, because not only like the UK but clearly other countries as well are all feeling the financial pinch, and then the things that go are things like sailing, which people just go, oh, it's a boat. But it's not. It's the whole thing that comes with it. Is life-changing. Like, everybody that I knew from that ship came off it and went on to far better things, because a lot of us got picked because we were either vulnerable children or from an underprivileged area, and that was one of the criteria for our selection process. And to see these people just being mentored and coached, and yeah, it was incredible.
And that knowledge that just because you come from a working class area doesn't mean you won't be smart or well educated. It just means that you're going to have to maybe overcome your situation to get there, whereas people from maybe better off areas don't.
But like, listen and work hard, like in college and school, like there's no point messing around. Like, you need these qualifications. You won't necessarily use them, but like you need them to go places. And, like, if you ask the right people as well, because you kind of got to put a bit of effort in to get these opportunities. You can't just like wait around for them to happen. Like, you've got to put a bit of work into it.
One of the main things people talked about as a barrier to education was poverty. If you can't eat properly, you can't think or do properly. That's the basic. But poverty affects an area and its people in many different ways.
Nearly 1 in 4 people in Hartlepool are experiencing deprivation relating to income, which will include people in work as well as those unemployed. Child poverty is increasing faster in Hartlepool than in almost every area nationwide.
We have a lot of poverty, we have a lot of deprivation, we have a lot of people that are struggling historically from lots of different things. So there's a lot of kind of collective trauma, I think, around all of the North East being a place where people historically don't want to live. Everything from the weather to employment, and I think if you keep being told all of these things, you start to believe it, and it kind of sinks into how you feel about yourself. And I think you have to fight back hard against that, and it's hard to fight back hard against all of those the way that you're seen if you're struggling with a lot of those things. So if you're struggling to work out how you're going to eat that day, or you're struggling to make it through a day without falling into a pit of your addiction, then that's hard, isn't it, to then expect you to be able to fight back against all of the horrible words that are coming at you.
This area is known as deprived around here. However, that was back then, and it's still got a stigma for it. When you say I'm from Millbank Road, everyone's like, oh, but it's honest, it's absolutely...
Everybody's friendly, anybody would do anything for you around here. I don't think we've got one bad family in the street, have we?
No, we haven't.
I see my mum struggle quite a lot paying bills and things like that, and she's the only one that works because my dad's a young carer, and I see her like struggling nearly every day, and I try my best to help, obviously, because I'm a young carer for my dad. But seeing my mum go through this, I can see it on her face a lot. She's drained and she feels like she can't do a lot. We try to look at positives. We've made a podcast together where we talk about like witchcraft and things like that. But a lot of it is just like depressing, seeing other people, especially like older generations, to feel unhappy. And I do volunteering and things like that, and I've tried to get jobs, but there's not enough job opportunities for younger people. And then like the cost of living and just things like petrol and simple things like food and things like that is struggling. And it is really awful seeing things like that when you're experiencing it.
Yeah, I was at a funeral this morning at St Abel's Church, which is one of the
the main food banks for Hartlepool, and I hope that I will never not be shocked when I see a line of people, of our town people queuing up for food. Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, when you see them with the chairs, obviously being there, going there early, seeing them with children, you know, push chairs, and it absolutely shocks me to the core, and I hope I never stop. Yeah. You know, that feeling, you know, it makes me emotional, very emotional seeing that. But at the same time, proud of these people out there, and it's a town where, you know, that support is there for people. But we also do have quite a bit of money in the town as well, somewhere. But I would say that it is a town that does suffer massively with poverty, and is into every aspect of people's lives.
I think it's quite scary how rapidly it's changed as well. I think in the past 10 years as well, visibly, areas have visibly declined.
I see a lot of poverty. People, because I work in a charity shop, like especially like older women, come up to me and tell me stories about how like they struggled when they were younger, and then tell me stories about how it's different now, and how you can see them talking about like their children and things like that, about how they're struggling and how it's got a lot worse and things like that. I hear that like quite often.
So the fact that everybody keeps basically boiling it down to mental health and or money being the barriers to the rest of it, it's just common sense. If you grow up with enough, not just to survive but to feel like things are going to be okay, that means that you're much less likely to grow up with some of the mental health problems that come out of insecurity and scarcity. And then that's just chicken and egg. So you feel like you can do it, so you aspire to do the things, and the things take you into places where you can make money, and then you spend the money, and then it all comes round. I don't even know what... I think it's probably poverty that comes first, actually. I think it's probably poverty that is the root of everything else, every other struggle. Obviously, notwithstanding sort of genetic predispositions for various health matters, but all the other things being equal, who has the money is the thing that underpins it all.
Like your mental health, it's your mental and your physical health. You need to look after it, and by doing that, feeling isolated is no good, and not being able to feed yourself is no good, is it? And that's what people in Hartlepool are struggling with, just feeding themselves at the minute.
The whole idea of these conversations is to get you thinking, and hopefully wanting to create positive change in your town.
We have 2 more episodes looking at teenage conception, sexual education, obesity, body image and mental health. So make sure you listen to those too.
So we thank you for sharing this time with us. We're going to leave you with the words of Hartlepool-born poet Theo Forster.
The love of my first home is a love that is twisted, almost cruel, because the radiator bleeds, a rainbow of an oil leak, and the walls weep, teardrops warping the paper. They diagnose my room with water damage, and I am trapped under a collapsed roof, tiles stolen, resold. There's a downpour in the dining room, and the ocean breeze of this haunted town hangs still in the doorway. Blinking lights fizz and fade out. Sickness lingers in mildew and mould. They tell me the boiler is on the fritz, and they shatter the glass on the oven, all in one visit. The wall that keeps the waves at bay is crumbling. Red meat bears grease into my bones, and inky stains never lift. The carpet holds all that has ever been here. Sometimes I believe that this little town stores so much hate that it spills over the edges, drips down my hands. But then echoes of laughter ricochet off these walls, language spoken in tongues like some foreign dialect that I don't know. And the falling of tiny feet bang on these floors like drums in their clumsy crescendo. These are the things I am desperately holding on to. We have to belong here, with this town and all of its ghosts.